This is PepperBoi and welcome to my devlog for Burnwood, a game made in 10 days for the 3rd annual VimJam. If you don't know, a game jam is a game dev competition where you have to make a game in a set amount of time, usually based around a theme. But this jam is special and has a focus which was revealed beforehand, but the theme was announced at the start. And it is 10 days long, which is longer than most game jams, which are like a week or a weekend long. But about a month before the theme was set to announced, I saw a GDC talk by one of the devs who made Noita, a roguelike where every pixel is simulated. He described how he was able to do a sand simulation in Microsoft Quick Basic, which seemed pretty simple and something that would be kinda interesting to try out. So, I did, and after a few hardships, I got it working myself. And it really is surprisingly simple. All you have to do is buy my course for $50 billion, and after that you'll be all good. But on a serious note, all you have to do is loop through each used tile and check if the one below it is empty, and if it is, move it down one, and if it isn't, do the same thing for the diagonals. And bam, you have a sand simulation. But now it's time to get back to jamming. As you may have seen earlier, the focus for the jam is multi-use, and the theme is... Turn up the heat. This is a pretty good theme, and my original thought was to do Celeste Classic, where you have a stamina system, so you have to like stop every so often, but I realized that would just become really annoying. So I thought back on the physics sandbox games everyone seems to have played in school, and they have fire systems, which would be perfect for the turn up the heat theme, and I decided that you would place wood, which you can jump on and burn to fit multi-use. So first things first, I have to get my player moving around. So I used the character controller that I've used in my recent projects, and I gave it a circular collider, which made it able to go up and down small inclines. Next I got sand in the game. It's being simulated but you can't see it, and I made it so that you can burn sand, which doesn't make complete sense, but it's working. And then I made it possible to place wood, and then I changed sand to coal, and I tried making a basic puzzle. Then we had a pretty big visual update, changing from a square to a really good looking character by Jamal. I found out about viewports and viewport shaders, so I added an outline to the scene, which looks pretty nice. And I just kept on polishing, adding a cursor for placing wood with a progress bar and explosion particles. And by this point, all the mechanics were in the game and it was all pretty polished. And it was only the second day, but I forgot to record as much of my progress during the week because I was at school. So during the week, I added this concrete or stone or something, and I also changed the ground so it doesn't look horrible. And then here, I added a level transition. And then here, we fixed the background, and I also made it so that you can shoot towards the mouse instead of just up above your head. And the rest of the weekend was all playtesting and level design, which is the hardest part of making a platformer, in my opinion. And now onto sounds. TachyBunker made the song that fits the game absolutely perfectly. And here's Stain on how he did the sound effects.
Hello there, I'm Staintocton. I did the sound effects for Burnwood, so let's get right into it. So, I was working on a few other projects whilst working on Burnwood, because I do that to myself sometimes to make sure I'm actually feeling busy. And I ended up doing relatively basic things for sound effects. Mainly I use sound fonts for compositions and sound effects and whatever I need it for, which are essentially like decompiled collections of different synthesizers from different video games. For example, this sound right here is actually the explosion. It's called Factory Explosion. It's from Mother/Earthbound. And for that in particular, it was a one-note sample, which means whenever I try to play it on a MIDI keyboard, it's just that one specific sample, and so the higher, I guess, note I try to play, the quicker and higher pitched it's gonna sound. So I just found like a mid-range one and played it and kind of left it as is, apart from changing the volume a little bit because it is very loud normally. These two sounds are both taken from Animal Crossing New Horizons and were also left relatively unchanged. And the little maraca, there's like 4 different types of maracas in the sound font apparently, but I just kind of played it separate times, making sure that every upbeat was a little quieter, so it has like a ta-ta-ta-ta-ta kind of sound, because I wanted it to sound a little bit like a wrench or like something being tightened, because I thought that little like manufacturing aspect would fit I took inspiration from Bad Piggies, and they do very similar things where you can hear just like random auxiliary in the background that sounds very construction-like, if that makes sense. This next sound right here is this little static noise I've had from an 8-bit like sound font. It's not from a video game of any kind, it's just a little collection. And I ended up bouncing it in place, so I turned the entire synth that I just used into an actual audio file, and then I added some things to it. So now it sounds a little bit like this. The only other sound effect I haven't gone over was the complete level sound effect, which was very basic. I found like a random drum set from, I want to say, Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, and kind of left it there. One thing I will say that's interesting is the fact there is actually no jump sound. I had prototyped a couple, but Pepper wasn't really the biggest fan of what I came up with jump-wise, and I wasn't able to come up with something, either editing or just flat out from what I had sound font-wise, that would fit the game that we have currently without it either A, sounding like a sound that I already used for something, or B, just not fitting whatsoever. So I ended up not giving him anything, and so the jump is kind of silent. And even though that's not the original plan, I'm kind of fine with that. And that's essentially it. Again, I couldn't really do much for this project because I had a couple others going on, and I think I ended up doing all the sound effects within a couple hours. But yeah, in the future, I'm going to make sure I save myself at least like a couple days if I get stuck on sound effects for a PepperBoi game in the future. But yeah, thanks for listening, and take care.
And thank you, Stain, for helping with the sound effects and doing that segment. And then I just submitted the game. There's no big fuss of like staying up until 3 AM, which is good because it was a school night. And with that, we've pretty much covered the entire process for making Burnwood. But now you may be wondering, how's the game done in the ratings? Well, the ratings aren't out quite yet, but with the comments, it's looking pretty good. And we also got Vimlark to play it on his stream.
Alright, 13 to 44. 22. PepperBoi. Whee! This is cool looking. It's like Noita 2.0. That's a super cool effect. That's super cool. The like physics simulations on there are super neat. It's like I don't know, it reminds me a lot of Noita, which is fantastic. Really, really cool. I really enjoyed that. Very cute. It's super cool. Like, what a cool game. PepperBoi. Killing it, dude. That's super cool.
Thanks, Vimlark, you got the Noita inspirations spot on. And I'd like to thank Vimlark again and 8bits to Infinity for hosting the VimJam for the past 3 years. It's been great every time. And with that, the video's over. Go play Burnwood, it's the top link in the description. Thanks for watching!